So I'm in the kitchen with mommy. She's trying to show me how to make correct Nigerian fish stew. Never mind how I'm looking and all of that. Just focus on the food and the technique. For all the Americanas who are married to Nigerian and want to feed your husband, you better watch. Okay guys, so I'm in the kitchen with mommy today and she's preparing fish stew. Now don't judge me based on this fish. I got what was left in the market because I decided at the last minute that I wanted fish, so here we are. She's starting by first washing the fish and then I'm helping her select some seasonings. Let me make it clear that I am not cooking today. And I'm not trying to take credit for mommy's work. I'm just filming while she shows me how she makes her stew because I've learned from other folks and I need to learn the way mommy makes hers because I really enjoy all of her cooking and appreciate it. So she started with all her seasonings, like laying it out for me with the Nor powder, the Maggi, garlic powder, curry powder, onion powder, salt, and thyme. And then she goes into actually removing the tails from the fish. When we picked up the fish from the fish market, they had already cleaned them and left the heads on, which is the way my husband likes his fish, and mommy likes her fish that way too. So she's just going through checking to make sure everything is really clean, and she's pulling off the tail of the fish. In African American culture, as far as I know, we tend to leave the fin or the tail on so that when you fry it, you can chew on it. And it's just something that a lot of people enjoy. But if you want to put this in a stew, mommy says that it will spoil the stew by having these fins fall off into the stew when it is, sitting there after being baked or fried, however you prepare your own Nigerian fish stew. So that's what she's doing here. Okay, so then you will see mommy start to actually clean the fish a little bit more, and I tend to do the same thing. I make sure that fish and any meats in particular are very clean before I start. So you'll see her go through and wash the fish constantly just to make sure that there's no blood that is remaining, and they actually did clean the fish really well. And you will see that she doesn't have to do so much because they really did do a good job with washing the fish. Okay, so now you see mommy, she's pulling out all of her seasonings. She started with the thyme, then she went in with salt. What we're going to do with this fish right now is actually bake it so that when it goes in the stew, it doesn't break up. A lot of people prefer to fry their fish, but because of, our individual dietary preferences, we always tend to bake our fish instead of frying our fish, and it's healthier that way too. So she's going in with Maggi, and we bake the fish at 350 for roughly, I would say, a good hour to make sure that it's dry before it goes in the stew. And again, the whole point is for the fish to not break up in the stew. Now, this ingredient was funny to me because I didn't realize that mommy actually uses curry in her seasoning on the fish. So that's what she's doing. She's using curry and then she's going in with onion powder. And I believe that's garlic powder. And then this is Maggi. And then she's using the blended red pepper, which from what I understand, you can only get this in Nigeria. I've never seen this in the market here in the US. Someone, please let me know if I'm wrong. In the New York City area or the New Jersey area, tell us where we can find this red pepper, the blended one. I don't think you can find it here. So mommy's now just mixing all of the seasonings on the fish so that it's evenly distributed before we put it in the oven. Okay, so then she pulls out one of our old pans that we use for this very thing, drying all of our meats and our fish. And you can tell it's had its time, but these pots usually make the best pots to cook with, right? The ones that have had all the love over the years. So she's just basting the pan with oil, and then you'll see her lay the fish flat on the pan so that it will dry all the way through. And these fish are rather small. They're very different from what we normally would use. So you just want to make sure that they dry. And I don't think they'll need as much time as we would normally need to dry fish, but we'll see. So she was able to fit, 8 on this tray? Maybe 9? 9. So in the oven it goes. Okay, so again we're setting the oven to 350 and we'll let the fish bake. And we're moving right along. In the freezer you'll see we have the big red peppers. She's going to take big red peppers out of the freezer. We're going to take onion. We're going to take tomato. And this is what we're going to use to make stew. Now the spicy peppers, the ones in the US, mommy will tell you that they're a lot spicier here than they are in Nigeria. So you don't need as many. And in this stew, I think she used like 4 or 5. And she's taken 1 big red tomato when she would normally use like 4. But because this tomato is so big, she's just using the 1. Now mommy's rinsing off the big red peppers, tomatoes. She's taking out garlic. She's going to take 4 pieces of garlic to blend with the onion, the big red peppers, the tomato, and the Jamaican peppers or habanero peppers. Everyone has a different name for them. I believe in the US we also call them Scotch bonnet peppers. So she's just gonna make sure they're all thawed out before they go into the blender. Okay, so before you put everything in the blender, of course you're gonna have to cut it up, and that's what you'll see mommy doing, is cutting the big red pepper so that it will blend properly inside the blender. Okay, so once you have everything that you plan to blend, just get to blending. Blend everything together. Mommy always adds water. She says she pours maybe half of whatever you put in inside the blender. You should fill it at least half with water. Okay, and so this is when you're going to pour the contents of everything in the blender into a bowl and start to really try to make your stew. What you don't see is that Mommy added more to the stew than what's on the video. There was another batch of veggies that we had to blend up. Okay, so now Mommy is pulling out the palm oil. She's going to start to fry the stew. So she's putting a generous portion inside this one because she does not want to use vegetable oil. My husband doesn't do well with vegetable oil with his digestion. Sorry for oversharing, Lakon. And then she's adding onions. She will let the onions fry. After it fries very well, then she will add the stew that the blended vegetables that will eventually become stew. Okay, and so she's adding more seasoning to the mixture. She's adding all the things that you saw her add before to the fish. She's going to add it to the stew. You can't have a flavorless stew, so she's going to make sure that it comes out correct. Not too much salt because of course we already have salt on the fish. Let your stew cook. Mommy says maybe 40 to 50 minutes. And it's because she wants to have some stew remaining with the fish. If this was party fish, she will let it fry till the stew is almost dry, but she's not going to do that. Okay, and so now I'm taking the fish out of the oven. Mommy's going to take the fish and pry it off gently so that it does not break. We want to try to get as many pieces whole so that it can be intact when it goes in the stew. Once the stew is finished, you will add your fish for maybe 5 minutes or so. Let the fish soak up the stew so it will soften a little bit. Add some flavor to both the stew and the fish, like they help one another add flavor. So that's what you'll see Mommy doing, taking the fish off carefully as possible. Unfortunately, this is not our best fish, so some of it did break, but for the most part we were able to get whole pieces from this fish. And that's it, my friends. We've added the fish to the stew. We'll let it sit for a little while and then it's time to eat. My husband loves fish stew, so I know he will enjoy this. We actually have this with vegetables. Efo re-roll, please don't judge me. But yes, we had this stew Sunday night. It was delicious. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like this type of videos, please let me know. Maybe next time I'll actually do the cooking, but I really wanted to try to learn the way Mommy makes her stew because honestly it's very flavorful and it's better than most of the restaurants in the area. And I've grown so accustomed to the way she makes hers that I just had to know Mommy, how do you make yours? What is different? And so thank you all so much for sitting to watch this. This is a different type of video for this channel. You can clearly see that I'm not a culinary or food YouTuber, but I'm trying my best to learn how to make these dishes for my husband. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, take care.